A couple weeks ago, I talked about Greg Abbott and how he is using his power as governor to stop a city, Houston, Texas, from having a representative in Congress. Houston, Texas has not had a representative in Congress since March. Their representative, Sylvester Turner, died in March. And Greg Abbott tried so hard to basically drag his feet, say we're not going to do elections till November. So all that time, the constituents didn't have anyone representing them. It's important considering that the United States Congress, our Republican Party, does not have a large majority. So that is one other vote that Greg Abbott took away from the Democrats. In November, the Democrats finally had their runoff election, and people were waiting around to see, okay, now we have two people who can become the next representative. But what's next? Well, Greg Abbott officially decided when he is going to allow, emphasis, allow, which I feel like shouldn't even be a thing. He should not have that power. But Greg Abbott to allowed the runoff election to happen on January 31st, 2026. This is a pretty big fucking deal because that means Houston, Texas is going to go 2 more months without having a representative. It would be basically almost a year, 11 months. Houston, Texas has not had a representative, someone representing them in the Congress. It's pretty fucking insane, and it's kind of wild that not enough people know about it. I think it's really important to also understand what else has happened on January 30th. And I think the reason why Greg Abbott did this specific date is because of the government shutdown. Let me explain. This is from PBS. The legislation is a result of a deal reached by 8 senators who broke ranks with the Democrats after reaching the conclusion that Republicans would not bend on using a government funding to bill to extend the healthcare tax credits. The compromise funds 3 annual spending bills and extends the rest of government funding through January 30th. Republicans promised to hold a vote by mid-December to extend healthcare subsidies, but there is no guarantee of success. If they don't agree on something on January 30th, the government shuts down again. And remember, the whole reason this started was because of healthcare. But there was also another reason, and it was because of the Epstein files. Right now, Trump has said, okay, we are going to open a whole new investigation because all these Democrats, Larry Summers, and all these other people are in there, and we need to investigate. And this is why the Epstein files will never be released, because they're going to prolong it as much as possible. In the specific bill that they signed today, which is the 19th of November, it says that Pam Bondi can withhold any files that she deems fit and deems necessary for national security reasons. That is Trump being in them. It's important to acknowledge that if the government shuts down again in January 30th, that means that when Abbott holds the elections in January 31st, they're going to elect someone, depending on how long that shutdown lasts. That would be another vote to try to fight back against Epstein. I think that's what's happening, and I am concerned about it. But my biggest concern right now also is the fact that Houston's not going to have anyone to represent them in Congress. And I think people in Houston really need to stand the fuck up. And I need y'all to really be mad and be loud. Because you all deserve representation. Because for the past 11 months, well, it's going to be 11 months, you are not represented. No one is speaking for you. And then, on top of that, January 31st, so then you'll probably be, the new representative will probably be what? Mid-February? Well, when are the midterms? Midterms are November 3rd, 2026. The representative will have approximately 9.5 months in office, even though they should have been in office a lot sooner. I think this is something that a lot of people need to understand, that if you don't have anyone representing you in Congress, shit doesn't get done in your area. They are your voices. They are your people. And I think that what Greg Abbott is doing is a test run for the 2026 elections. This is Greg Abbott's number. And to be honest, I think everyone should call and demand that he moves up the election and demands that he does better. To be honest, I would just ask for his resignation. He should not be rerunning because this is literally election fraud to a T. Here's also the senators for Texas. One of them is unfortunately Ted Cruz. But it's important that people understand that without representation, what's the point of taxation? Without representation, I'm not seen, my voice is not heard, and that is not okay. I think it's important to also understand that the whole reason Mike Johnson prolonged the government shutdown was so he did not have to swear in Adelaide Grijalva, because she would have been the 218th vote to release the Epstein files. They are trying every trick in the fucking book to hide Epstein, to not get their bills passed, to basically be on fucking vacation the entire time, let's be real. And they're not getting called out enough, in my opinion. They're not. But Houston is not something I'm hearing enough about. And considering Houston, Texas is a huge fucking city, considering Houston has an enormous Black community, it's important to acknowledge that as well. I hope this was helpful. I am going to continue to stay on the top of this story. And remember, if you live in Houston, Texas, call Greg Abbott, call your senators. If you live around the country, call Texas senators and demand that Greg Abbott push the election sooner, because 11 months without representation is unbelievable. Because we all know that if Republicans were in this spot, they would be wreaking havoc. And that is, again, a failure of the Democratic quote-unquote leadership. Because every single chance I would get, I would be demanding elections. I would be saying, hi, my name is Sophie, and I just want to let you know Houston, Texas hasn't had a representative in X months. Hi, my name is Sophie. Houston hasn't had anyone to represent them in Congress in X months. Every single time I was in front of the camera, I would say something. I hope this was helpful. I think it's really important that everyone's voices are represented. And 11 months without a representative in Congress, especially during fascism, is completely unacceptable. So share this with anyone who lives in Houston. And if you didn't know about this, I'm glad you're finding out now, because it's better to find out now than never.